Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Biblio Fitness. Hope everyone's had a great day, made some great gains. So today is kind of a little bit off the beaten path. Usually, aside from reading The Dawn of Day, I've also picked up on reading some good old Epictetus, some Stoicism as well. While Nietzsche does like to clown Stoicism, there are uses to it, right? Like there's that being able to tyrannize your impulses, and it coincides very well with existentialism, as it were, and Nietzsche, because a lot of these both of them are similar in many ways or agree in many things. And one thought that really came into my head was how, like, the difference between vulgarity and those who are vulgar and those who are educated, those who are noble, I suppose, to use Nietzschean vocabulary. And that is even in regards to education, knowledge, and what Epictetus is always about, establishing reason, right? And developing and refining that tool of reason and of logic, that tool that allows you to make those distinctions between right and wrong, good and bad, useful and not useful, what to be, what to give attention to and what not to. And at the end of the day, of course, it's all subjective, but the fact that, that he does continuously talk about trying to look at other people, and that we always do need help, right? That to continue on the education, to continue on the refining. And a point that both of them make, both Nietzsche and Epictetus, is in regards to how vulgar people tend to use their information, the newfound knowledge, right? Like vulgar people, they learn a little bit about philosophy, or a little bit about religion, or a little bit about history, or whatever subject they may be, and they hang on to that. They don't continue on any further. They become completely obstinate, and they settle down, right? They form these opinions, and if you're not with them, then you're against them, and here comes those extremist form of views, right? And that's what really does separate people, those who develop a sort of myopia in their education. They learn a little bit, and they don't want to continue any further because they don't see the point. They don't see the point in continuing to refine. And they don't see one of the most essential points is that life itself is relative, and as you continue to progress in life, your values and your ideas and your interpretations or perceptions of what is right and wrong itself is going to change. I obviously don't condone the whole fact of universal law, even though we continuously attempted to make those sort of distinctions, or put those as the highest values of trying to find something that all of us can follow. But with people, you could see that in modernity. Those kids that go to college and they think because they got a degree they know everything. They now have the answers to it all. They don't need to listen to other people's opinions. They don't need to listen to the other side. They don't need to understand the different avenues and the different perspectives and the different conclusions that can be laid, or that can be followed by just that same idea. And it's like the saying goes, like, people can read the same book and come out with completely different interpretations, because it's all a matter of our own, inherent personality traits, or the way that we perceive the world, the way that, how we have, the what is it? The agglomeration that we are of ideology, and how we perceive the ideology, right? And then there's people that are educated and, a bit more noble in their pursuits, that are constantly refining that. And there is that, I feel like, that big distinction of relativism, is understanding that things are relative, and there's always something new to learn, because the world is continuously evolving. I think one of the biggest pitfalls that we make, and even empires, is that they stop. The big name, one of the big personalities, I guess you could say, of nature, Mother Nature, is the continuous cycling, and the continuous cycle, right? The old being devoured by the new, and this is continuously happening again and again and again. And if you're stuck in place, you are going to be devoured. You are falling behind. And I feel like people make that crucial mistake of never wanting to continue to learn. You know, it is good to stand on the shoulders of giants. It is good to understand concepts, and it is good to educate and understand and redefine what logic and reason is, because this is an ever-changing world. And one of the big reasons why I feel like nowadays it's even more important to develop reason is because it's so easy to be thrown away by the wayside. You know, it's so easy to be enthralled by all the rabble outside and what is right and what is wrong, and yet people imposing their will everywhere that you go, and it's very easy for you to succumb to those temptations, as it were, succumb to those false prophets and such. But when you start looking at it from your own perspective and allow yourself to see what is beneficial for you without being enthralled by all this, that's the distinction between those who become vulgar, right, and those who actually are trying to be educated and trying to educate themselves and develop something, and not just hang on to some shit because it substantiates or validates their prior convictions, but they never they never grow from there. It's like people who only read that which knows is going to augment their points further, you know. You know, and Epictetus talks about this, you know, it's like when I was just reading about is, you know, one of the good things about developing reason is being able to let go of what is not in your control, you know, and stop focusing so much on the outside. We focus too much on the outside, especially now. You know, we're not allowed to fully develop ourselves. We never really allow ourselves to find out about ourselves, to look introspectively and really find what makes us tick, because we're so continuously focused and we're so continuously enamored by the events unfolding on Instagram and Twitter and the fucking threads and all this shit. Always focus on what other people are doing, and what Nietzsche would call, we develop a double ego. We not need to worry about what we think, but about what other people think. You know, what would they do in this situation? How would they think, or what would they act, or what would they say? You know, the herd morality and the voice of the herd it has become our own conscious voice at this point, and we don't even fucking realize it. But the good thing about pursuing reason and pursuing stoicism and pursuing existentialism, and I feel like that's why a lot of people don't like this, and people have called stoicism, you know, fucking toxic masculinity, and why do you want men to be this way? It's because then you don't get coerced. You know what I'm saying? You understand that the only thing that you can control is yourself, so you might as well improve on it and fortify yourself as much as possible to not be another leaf being cast about by the winds, by the wind of time, by the wind of culture and things of that nature, especially with such a degenerate culture that we live in nowadays anyways. To continuously learn and develop that logic and and your knowledge and your own sense of right and wrong. Like I've always been saying is, you know, my values at my age is probably not going to be the same 20 years from now. But the only thing that will make sure that whatever I learn and whatever I adopt is actually beneficial for me and for the people I love, or whatever the case may be, is continuously seeking knowledge, right? It's continuously seeking out a way to refine, a way to continuously hone in on that reason, hone in on that logic, hone in on your faculties. And I've always made that comparison with people all the time, especially now that we're so superficial. We focus on the gym, we focus on making gains, we focus on the looks, but we're pieces of shit on the inside. And that's another aspect as to why I believe we've gotten so shallow. You know, we think that we go to the gym and we have a fat ass, or like a girl has a fat ass or a nice body, and we automatically think she's great. But then when you go out to eat with her, you realize that she has the fucking intellectual capacity of a fucking fourth grader. You know, we're so superficial, we're so enthralled by what's on the outside. We're basically we fall in love with a pig with makeup on. We never really fully want to learn what's up in here. You know, we learn a few things, and most people, they learn a few things. They read a philosophy book or two, or they read the Bible, or they learn a few complicated words, and they feel like they know the whole goddamn thing. They understand it all. It's like those dumbasses that pop acid and then they've never read a book before, but because they pop acid, they suddenly know the meaning of life and all its beauty and shit. It's just ignorance being champion. We are champion ignorance because obviously feeling has now taken the first order rank over reason and logic. It is what my feelings are more important, and my truth is most important, and everyone has to acquiesce to such things, to abandon reason, because that's the only way that you can make these sort of things work. Is to abandon reason, is to abandon what makes you an individual, because now you have to acquiesce to what the majority wants to do. We're constantly told that the faculty of democracy is the highest thing, and I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not gonna do something just because everyone else wants to do it. I'm not gonna be coerced in that way, and that's something that we really have to be watchful of, not to fall into actions and behaviors and activities just because everyone else is doing it. To look at things logically and to be willing to make the sacrifice of what that entails, and I've started, on this journey, I've started to make that realization that the road that I'm traveling on is going to lead to isolation. It's going to lead to me not having a lot of friends. It's going to lead to not me being able to relate to too many people, because of the ideas and everything that I've learned and everything that I think about runs contrary to what most people believe and think. I will be seen as a pessimist. If I say a lot of the things that I do believe in, I'll probably be canceled, or I'd be ostracized. You know what I'm saying? But that is a cost one must learn. And one must have, not to be afraid of losing friends, not to be afraid of being cast out of the society or the civilization. Even though we're pumped full of that idea all the time that's the worst thing in the world. Like, you have to belong and you have to acquiesce to everything. You have to go along with everybody, because then you'll be a good member of society if you just follow along like everybody else. Don't think about it. Everything is just thought out for you. Just listen to what another person wants you to do, and don't think about it. But that is just, I think, is just a small price of wanting to develop reason in its true form, right? To continuously try to even question yourself, and that's a point that Epictetus made. That's even more important. Is the reason you want to continuously refine your logic is because you don't want it to get dull. You don't want that to get dull. It's like a blade. You want it to keep it sharp. And how do you do that? By reading, by engaging yourself in these things, by continuously learning and continuously thinking to yourself and acting and asking yourself these questions in whatever it is that you're reading, and see what happens, and see what opinions you may form, and see how your opinions change over time. And that's the beauty of it. Who the fuck wants to remain with the same convictions all their life? Who wants to be the same all their life? That's fucking pitiful. That's pathetic. That's lazy. The fact that people chant like, "Oh, I have not changed." Like, I'm like, are you supposed to be proud of that? Like that doesn't sound like a good. That doesn't sound like a good road to travel on. Like, you never change. Like, life is changing all the time, and your old ideas, you have to be willing to destroy your old ideas for something that is new, for something that is more useful for you. And that's the point of reading things like this. Being able to tyrannize over one's will and over one's passions is something that I feel like a lot of us can definitely use, and a skill that I definitely would like to add to my arsenal more, like refine that more and more. I'm not as angry as I used to be, but there are stuff that I continuously want to refine and work on. Always keep that in my mind: what is in control, what is not in control, and not allowing other things to piss me off, not allowing other people possible opinions interfere or impede me from acting on what I want to do, just because I'm scared that no one's going to pay attention, or no one's going to watch me, or no one's going to care. And I always have to tell myself, is like, why are you placing value upon the potential on likes, and that's what a lot of us do, right? Like, our value we place our self-value upon upon whether we got votes from others, whether other people think we deserve to be loved or deserve to be valued. As our sense of value, our sense of worth, our sense of honor within our self-honor, self-pride is relinquished, because it's always resting upon what other people think. It's always resting upon, oh, I got to do this because then other people will like me, or I got to do it at this time, or I got to do it this way because, what I'm saying? Then you're just so easily enthralled, and you're so easily just going along with it all, instead of being true to yourself. Like, stop being a victim. When not even being a victim, you're allowing yourself to be coerced. You allow yourself to be thrown around and being used and molded, but then being able to lie to yourself and say, I'm still an individual. There are some sacrifices you have to make for continuously refining that reason and logic, especially nowadays. Less and less reason is being used, and the less reason you use, the more money you make. That's a lot of things going on nowadays, and that's why the temptation to be a complete dumbass is more apparent than ever. And I'm willing to lose some of that, all that recognition and bullshit. I'm not gonna fucking lower my dignity and my pride, and it's at that point, like, it's like once you take out a bite out of the apple, there is no turning back anyways. I'm not going back to the ideology that I find deplorable and disgusting. What I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be involved in that, and come whatever may, out of that conviction that I don't want to be involved in that. What I'm saying? And not be disappointed after, or being like, oh, I wonder why this has happened or this has happened. It's because out of your own volition, you can't be surprised of the ramifications that come about whatever decision you make and stuff like that. These are all very important points that that's why I continuously want to read Stoicism along with Nietzsche, is to help me. The voice of the gregarious instinct is louder than ever. And that means it's more important to being able to rely on yourself and being confident in your own, and the foundations that you set upon through reason, through logic, through experience, and through having an open mind and being willing to continuously adapt, right? So this is great. This is a great combo. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's doing this combo, but I'm going to try to keep both of them going at the same time, because they both play off each other extremely well, even though Nietzsche does like to clown the Stoics because of the self-tyranny. I do believe that self-tyranny, being in control as much as you can, no matter how much of a fallacy that word may be, but being able to dictate what passion has tyranny over all others is a great tool to have, right? So that'll be all for today. I hope you all make amazing games. You can see my boy Batman. I got Batman for everything. I love that guy. So I hope you all make amazing games. Hope you all have a great weekend. It's only a few days before I get to go to the gym again. Fuck! I'm not going to get a tattoo for a while. This whole not being able to go to the gym, not going to my holy land is frustrating. Sorry. Love y'all. Have a great day. Peace.